Hey guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how a little known observation by a man named Parkinson in the 1950s can help you get more done in less time. Let's get into it. Alright, in this episode we're going to be talking about Parkinson's Law and how it affects your ability to manage your time and productivity. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you just to hit subscribe on whatever channel you're following. We produce these videos every week and don't want you to miss out on any episodes. And if you're enjoying our content, please give us a like and a comment just to let us know how we're going. All right, let's get into it. So in the 1950s, there was a British civil servant named Cyril Northcote Parkinson, and he was commissioned to study the civil service and figure out why so many projects within the government departments were blowing out in time. They were just taking much longer than they were meant to, and they were wasting a lot of money, a lot of productivity, and a lot of man hours. And so he observed a whole range of government departments over a period of time, and what he came to conclude after his observations is that with any of the projects that they were asked to do, the success of completion with the project was determined by the time constraints that were put on it. Basically, he said that the productivity expanded or contracted depending on the time limits. If there was a short time frame put onto the project, then everybody worked at a much higher rate of productivity. If there was a longer time frame or there was no time frame specifically put onto the project, then what would happen was the workers would delay the project and they would work longer and take longer to finish and very often not complete the task until a hard time limit was put on it. And this became known as Parkinson's Law. And basically, simplified, Parkinson's Law says work expands or contracts to fit the time constraints that are put on it. So how does this affect you in your productivity? Well, you've probably noticed that there are certain things that you work on that never seem to end. You know, you work back late and you just keep working until you're too tired to work any longer. And maybe you're having trouble balancing your work and your life commitments. Maybe you spend too much time on work. Maybe you're bringing your work home because you don't get it completed during the day, and then you're finding yourself working at night. I know this is true of teachers. When I was a school teacher, this is a problem. This is a problem for business owners as well. The work never seems to end, and it keeps going and going. And this can become a problem for your relationships. It can become a problem for your personal health and well-being, and also for your stress levels. And so what I want to talk to you today about is how to apply Parkinson's Law to your work balance and help you to become more productive and have more time for yourself and your family without using more time in the day. So we're going to use Parkinson's Law as a bit of a guide. And so the first thing you need to do whenever you're working on any kind of project is this: you must put a time limit on it. If you went to university, or maybe you remember back when you were in high school, that very often when you have assignments, students will tend to leave their work on their assignment till the very last minute. Why? Because they know that they have a time limit, and so they will wait till the very last moment where they can get started on their assessment, because that hard time limit makes them more productive. When they have the sense of urgency that they know the deadline is coming, that's when they tend to work harder, faster, and tend to be more focused. What is happening in this particular scenario is it's your brain's way of prioritizing workload and prioritizing focus. You see, your brain understands that you have multiple tasks that you have to balance. And so in order to help you balance your workload, what your brain does is says, okay, what's urgent, what's not urgent? And it tends to give priority to things that are urgent, because with urgency comes deadlines, with deadlines comes consequences. And so it's your brain's way of saying, come on, get on with it. There's a time constraint here. You need to make this a priority. And so by putting a time limit on your projects, what will happen is you will find that you work more efficiently, you get distracted less, but you also find that you don't go overtime. And so this is where you need to use time limits to manage your personal work-life balance, is put a time limit on your work day. You need to say at 5 o'clock I clock off and I do not work past 5 o'clock. Or if you're bringing work home, at 8 o'clock I finish work and I have some downtime, or I have family time, or whatever it might be. If you don't put a hard deadline on your workload and your projects, what you will find is you will just keep on working. You'll just keep on going and the work will draw out and it will go on and on and on. You'll get exhausted, you'll get stressed, you'll miss out on the important things in your life, and you will become less productive over time. So more work doesn't equal more productivity. Putting time constraints on your workload and your projects will actually make you more productive and more efficient. The second thing that you need to do if you're going to use Parkinson's Law to help you get more done in less time is you need accountability. So you need people in your life that are going to help you stay true to those time limits, or to those hard barriers or boundaries that you have on your workload. So it might be a family member that is able to call you out and say, hey, it's past cutoff time, you need to go home now, you need to stop work now. Or you might have a coach. If you have a life coach or a business coach, then they might be able to keep you accountable in that regard. Or it might be a friend. Using your phone as a productivity tool, have a timer or an alarm that will help to jog your memory for accountability as well. So make sure you've got somebody or something that holds you to your time limits. Don't let your time limits be abstract or obtuse, because then your brain will know that you're just making up the time limit and it won't stick to it. So give yourself some accountability in some form so that you know the deadline is serious. And the third thing that you need to do is understand how to prioritize workload and tasks according to your needs and the needs of others. If you work with other people in a team, what you will very often find is that everybody else's needs are more important than yours. Everybody will place their own sense of importance on the tasks that they give you. And I used to get this a lot when I was working in the education system, and I worked in a particular role where other people relied on me to get information to them. And very often people would send me an email that would say, hey, can you get this done? I need it urgently. And so what I found before I started using Parkinson's Law is, because they said urgently, I dropped everything that I was doing, or everything I was doing for everybody else, and I placed priority on that, and found myself doing more focus on other people's sense of urgency than I was on the stuff that I needed to get done. And then I would be behind on my workload, and then I would be stressing because I wasn't getting my stuff done. What I learned to do was force other people to put time limits on their emergencies or their sense of urgency as well. See, because most people don't work like this, they just want you to drop everything and do it for them now. So this is how I handle the priorities of other people. Now, when somebody says to me, can you get this done for me? The first question I ask is, yes, when do you need it done? Now, usually they will respond as soon as possible. That's not enough. That's not good enough. What I say, okay, I understand that you have a sense of urgency about this, but what I need to know is what is the latest date and time that is okay for me to get to this. Because I have a number of priorities that I have to balance, and I need to know the very latest date and time that will be acceptable for you. When you force them to put a time limit on it, one, it helps you to manage your time, but you'll very often find that it's not as urgent as they made out to be. One great example is I had a teacher that sent me an email, and she said, Tarun, I need this stuff urgently. And so I said to her, okay, well, when do you need it? She goes, as soon as possible. And so I followed up again, and I said, okay, give me the latest practical time that I can get this done for you, where it won't put you under unnecessary stress. And she came back to me and she said, well, the deadline is 4 weeks away. So you've got a little bit of time. You've got a few weeks. So what started out as I need this urgently to I need this ASAP actually turned into something that wasn't really required for a whole month. that completely changed the way I prioritized my workload, because instead of dropping everything and doing it there and then, I was able to say, okay, no problem, I'll make sure that I have it to you in the next 2 weeks. And so they knew when they were going to get it, so they weren't harassing me and weren't stressing about it. I knew what time I had to get it done, and I didn't have to drop other important tasks for the sake of it. So by prioritizing your workload and other people's workload, by putting time constraints on what you do and putting time constraints on other people's work priorities as well, what you will find is you get far more done in a far more efficient manner, and you won't find yourself burning out, working long hours, burning the candle at both ends, and you'll find you're more productive, you're more focused, and you're happier and less stressed at work and in your family. So that's my 3 little tips for using Parkinson's Law to help you get more done in less time. Put time limits on everything you do, have accountability, and put priority on other people's workload as well, and you will find that you work more efficiently. I hope that was really helpful for you. Make sure that you click the link below to subscribe or follow our channel, and give us a comment, let us know how we're going. And if you have somebody that you know would benefit from our content, please share it with them. We want to get the word out there, and we'd love to talk to you soon in the future and to hear about how our content is helping you. Until next time, I'm Tarun Stevenson.